Good evening and welcome back to Mona's Take. I am your host, Mona Rose, and we're here to talk about everything reality TV. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything I have coming up. Today's episode is going to be on the last 2 days of the Big Brother live feeds. There has not been a whole lot of game talk going on, but there have been some interesting developments in the last few hours of the Monte Taylor situation, as they call it. So, stay tuned. We'll get right in. People are acting on a whole nother level on that. So I can't wait to see that karma train coming through. Choo-choo. Mood of the day. Really? You gotta give us more credit than that. Some people, buckle up, buttercup. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Alright, I have forgotten how boring the last 2 weeks of Big Brother live feeds can be. There's not a whole lot of game talk going on. Pretty much everybody knows what's going to happen. Taylor's the HOH, so she's headed to the final 3. Monte is the veto winner, so he's headed to the final 3. And he will make the sole decision on who to evict Thursday night. I fully expect that to be Brittany. She has been practicing her pitch to Monte based on how Turner has performed in the comps versus how Monte has performed in the comps. And I honestly don't think, no matter what she says, that there's a world where Monte will evict Turner. He's already promised him he'd take him to the final 3. He says over and over how he doesn't like to go back on his word, so don't expect that's going to change. The last 2 days, a few takeaways that I've had from the lack of conversations. The first, Brittany told everybody that she was a hypnotherapist, and they've talked about that, which led Monte to tell everyone that he had a background in mechanical engineer. And he's actually talking a lot more about physics and things of this nature that he wasn't able to talk about before. Monte and Taylor are still trying to keep their little showmance a secret. Although I don't know how they've done that since they've spent every night together in the HOH room for the last week, because they started back when Monte was HOH, and they've continued on every night. Brittany and Turner both see it, but I don't see either one of them saying anything about it because Monte has the sole vote to evict come Thursday night, so they can't make a big deal about it. So what does this mean for the final 2? After listening to Monte talk to Taylor and tell Taylor why he would pick her over Turner, I feel like the chances of him taking her to a final 2 at the time of this part of the video was a better chance. Monte told Taylor that she was the only one he would feel good about losing or winning over him because of her story, and that he feels like the cookout had a purpose. They had a cause, and he feels like helping the first black female winner of BB would feel like a noble cause, and he wouldn't feel like he'd lost. It sounds good in theory, and it sounds good on paper. However, I believe that if he truly meant that he would take Brittany to the final 3 instead of Turner, because Taylor's chances of getting to the final 2 would be a shoo-in, because he would pick her and Brittany would pick her. So, although it sounds noble, I think he's blowing smoke up her ass. I think it sounds good on camera. So I don't know at this point. Whereas going with Turner Monte and Taylor. Monte is guaranteed a final two, no matter which way the cards fall. Turner's going to take him, and Taylor's going to take him. So, like I said, even though it sounds like a noble cause, and he's doing it for all the right reasons, he's just blowing smoke up Taylor's ass, because if he really meant it, he wouldn't take Turner. He wouldn't be looking out for number one, which is what you're supposed to do in this game. Do not get me wrong. His best game move is to take Turner. But why say all this shit to Taylor that you think she wants to hear? Because none of it's true. A lot of people have sent me comments and messages asking me my thoughts on Taylor and who she believes is the one that actually voted her out. She knows it was Brittany. But Taylor is thinking logically. Taylor, at this point, knows it's about who she can beat. It's not about who she trusts more. It's not about who has done her wrong. It's about who she can beat. Just like Monte's is, except for I don't think that Monte necessarily thinks he can beat Turner. So I think that's more of a final two. We started the leftovers, were the last two leftovers, and I'm going to be in the final two. But do not get it twisted. Taylor does not believe for 1 minute that it wasn't Brittany. She's just handling it logically because she knows they're getting close to the end. She's got to do what she has to do to get herself to the final two. And Taylor's no fool. When it comes to push or shove, she knows that if she gets to the final three with Monte and Brittany, that she's going to the final two no matter what, and she will be able to pitch her case. She knows she can't do that with Turner and Monte because Turner's going to choose Monte. And even if Monte were to choose her, there's a higher probability that the matchup between Turner and Monte, that Turner could come up on top and Turner would get to choose who sits beside him. And if she admits to Monte that she knows that it was Brittany, then she loses that little bit of an argument that she has with Monte as to why he should take Brittany. I think Taylor is using it to cast a little bit of doubt as well to Monte. Because if she can wiggle in there and get between him and Turner, then she might just be able to change his mind. So she's like, if I can make him doubt Turner just a little bit, then that's one up for me. Monte and Brittany start out this morning over breakfast, cooking, talking in the kitchen. And they're talking about different levels of hypnosis, how the mind works, the different levels that you have between awake and sleep. They're talking about physics. They're talking about mental capacity, all kinds of stuff. And Turner is sitting at the bar. And I swear to God, the look on his face. He might as well have been sitting there just going blah, 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 blah. He was miserable in that conversation. And Monte was engaging Brittany. Monte was asking Brittany questions. Brittany was asking Monte questions. They were actually having a very good discussion. A very intelligent discussion, but a good discussion at that. As soon as they leave the kitchen, he's sitting there at the bar and he's shaking his head. He's like, what the F was that? It's like, my God, my brain just fell out. And I was like, Turner, I'm right there with you. I am right there with you, brother. I think that's probably the first time Turner and I have agreed all summer. The next conversation that we see is between Taylor and Monte. And Taylor said, someone is still lying to me. No one has owned up to it. It's like it never happened. And Monte said, you know how I feel about it. No way Turner would be so transparent about how he felt about Alyssa, trying to guilt him into not voting her out, and literally throughout the whole week confirming with our final three that he was going to vote with the House. And then to decide at the last moment to try and flip his vote after Brittany came to him saying that he should give Alyssa a sympathy vote, and then tells us exactly that it just seems too obvious he wouldn't do that. Whereas Brittany, the whole week, acting shady, threatening me, and then from her game perspective, it makes the most sense for her to want to vote you out. Monte said, because you would have been the next best competitor in the HOH comp. If you weren't here, she would be the HOH right now, and she would be in the final three. That's the reality of it. So she knew she could blame it on Turner if you stayed. Taylor said, at this point, she still felt locked in. So what would it have mattered? And Monte said, I don't think so. I think she thought the two of us were getting closer. And when we had that conversation with the three of us up here, and she saw how you were responding to her, mentioning that Michael's game was compromising, I think she realized that you were calling her bullshit. And at this point, she said, well, I'm on the outs here. What's best for my game is, because both of these people don't believe me, that one of the people that's closest to the one I want out is you. Monte said he was trying to make sure there was more competition against Brittany for the HOH comp, and she was trying to do the opposite, to make sure she had less competition in the HOH comp. Monte is convinced, or is trying to convince Taylor, that Brittany would rather sit in the final two with Turner than Monte, which is not the case by no means. She wants to sit in the final two with Taylor, but if she had to choose between Turner and Monte, I have no doubt she'd pick Monte. And I thought at one point that Brittany was making her pitch to Monte because they were both in the car room, and then the feeds went off. And I thought, damn it, CBS, the only damn game talk that we've had in 2 days, and you're going to block it. Come to find out later that had not happened yet. So I have no idea why the feeds cut when they were talking. Taylor's talking to the cameras. And she said, Monte is literally giving me the most difficult path to the final two. She says, I have no choice but to win all these comps. That's why I need to be studying. I need to convince Monte and study every single day. She said, that's my game. She said, I have to win part 1 and part 2, which I'm assuming she meant part 1 and 3, to get to the end. And then later on, they're all laying up in the HOH room. Monte's passed out on the bed, has the music on, the headphones on his ears. Taylor's laying beside him in the bed. Brittany's on one couch, Turner's on the other couch, and they're all snoozing. And Taylor wakes up and for some reason reaches over towards Monte and grabs the headphones off of his head. And when she does, she pulls his glasses off. It wakes him up. And she said something about, it's my HOH room, it's my music, you're asleep in my bed. Something to the effect of that. He gets up, he goes downstairs. Brittany gets up and goes downstairs and follows. And then Turner gets up and he goes downstairs. Well, evidently it pissed Monte off that she did that. And a little bit later, we see Monte and Turner talking in the kitchen. Now, this next conversation has pissed me off to no end. And that is the very reason that I picked the thumbnail and created the thumbnail that I did for this specific video. I want you guys to tell me in the comments what you think about this conversation. Monte's talking to Turner, and he's pissed that Taylor took the headphones off of him and woke him up. He's talking to Turner saying, I look up and I see that she's down here in the yard, and I'm like, what the F? She didn't even want to use them. She's just on a freaking power trip. And Turner said, yeah, we've seen spades. And Monte said, exactly. I was like, I'm being an asshole thinking that was out of pocket. But evidently it wasn't. And Turner's like, oh, no. I thought it was out of pocket too. I didn't understand what was going on. And Monte said, I just think she gets ahead of herself, wanting to be the cold-hearted B word that I guess she's coming off as. He says there's literally two sides to her. Like, one day she's super nice and super vulnerable. But what I've noticed is when she's very comfortable in the house, she comes across more cold-hearted. And Turner says, yeah, her character. And Monte said, exactly, her character. And Turner said, mind if I ask you a question real fast? And Monte says, yeah, go ahead, but I know what you're going to ask. And Turner said, okay, then I don't even need to ask. What's good? I'm not asking because I have a problem with it. I think it's dope. And Monte said, I actually wanted to talk to you about it when we went up to the balcony. And I also wanted to vent to you a little bit about it too. Monte said, not like in a therapeutic way, but just as boys. Turner said, yeah, I'm just asking as a homie. I really don't care one way or the other. And Monte says, yeah, last week she gave me the strong signal that she was down for it. And I knew the attraction was there, and we acted upon it. So since then, it's been cool. We've both had the HOH room. He says he doesn't like flaunting it, that he's a private person, as he sits and thinks about the thousands of people that are watching the live feeds. And Turner said, just out of curiosity, do you think it will last outside the show? And Monte said, you know, stuff like today makes me realize, like, I don't know how much. It's literally one of those things I talked to the doctor about. These half-ass sentences are getting me. But anyway, he said, this internal conflict of, okay, I have some things biologically happening. You know, I'm sure you understand. And Turner's like, yeah, I got you, bro. And he said, so there's like that struggle that I had, and I acted upon that. But did it happen with the person I think I'm going to spend the rest of my life with? To be honest, that's a no. It's not something I'm going to be sure of now. You know what I mean? And it would take some very long conversations and some very honest conversations about how I feel she presents herself to people or to me in public, and then in private, it's something completely different. Monte said, it's like that dichotomy. And for those of you who don't know what that word means, I did us a favor and I looked it up because I had no idea what the hell that meant. And it means a division of contrast between two things that are or are represented as being opposed or entirely different. And I'm like, why didn't you just say that, asshole? That's that mechanical engineer coming out on him. He's starting to use words nobody else knows. Or at least I didn't. So anyway, back to the story. He said, I don't want to have to be that way. So that sort of shit is the thing that makes me like, want to say, I don't know. And then on top of that, bro, and Turner said, I know your aspirations outside the house, bro. And Monte said, exactly. So you know, there's that layer to it as well. But then there is also, I just got out of a relationship in February. Like, it's been 8 months. I've not really been single. I got through into a house with 16 other people. I've not really got to live the single life for long. He said, you can only imagine how conflicted I am as a single dude dealing with all this dynamic. And Turner said, I'm assuming that it wouldn't affect the two of us, right? And Monte said, absolutely not. I don't want to sound arrogant here, but I'm not Kyle. I could have acted on this very early on in the season. I could have made it happen earlier. I'm just not here for that. First of all, I'm telling y'all, this conversation had me pissed, and still does. So first, he's still talking behind Taylor's back. And he's still talking about how she carries herself. Just like him saying earlier on that she didn't represent, or she wasn't the right representative for black women or black girls out there coming up. I'm like, dude, really? You're a freaking man. How the hell do you know what a black woman's supposed to represent? That just gets all over me. And I just had to edit this because he made me say the word that I don't normally say on this channel. But it got me going again. What he said was she wasn't a good representation of black women. Second, you're saying that it's not going outside the house. You're just having fun. You're just getting your rocks off right now. You don't give two shits about her. Third, no way you could have gotten it started earlier because she couldn't stand your ass until a few weeks ago. And I don't think it's necessarily his persona that she's as into as it is being in that house alone and just being frustrated, if you know what I mean. And do I think Taylor's catching feelings for him? I think she is. Do I think it was like Kyle and Alyssa? No. She's smarter than that. But I do think that she cares about Monte and she trusts him. And he's downstairs bashing her yet again. Fourth, you're saying that you would still pick Turner over Taylor. So that means you're just being a dog. A dog. And you're where you belong, in the doghouse. That's why you're on the thumbnail. Back to Taylor. I'm sorry, I had to put my 5 cents in on that one. She says, she's talking to herself, and she said, if Brittany goes this week, it's better for her jury management. Harder for her final 2, but she does realize that it's better for her jury management. She said, plan A, I win part 1 and 2, and I take Brittany. And she said, plan B, Brittany goes to the jury house this week, and she manages the jury for me. With all the women that wanted a final two women or a woman to win this season, that Brittany can go in and she can work on the jury for her for that. She said, history, let them do it. She said, Alyssa's not voting for Monte. Brittany's not voting for Monte. Jasmine's not voting for Monte. Indy will probably vote for him. And then she starts naming everybody else off in the jury. And she said, Terrence will choose a black man over a black woman. She said that's just foul, the way that he dragged her in the house. She said, Brittany is best long-term move for jury management. But if I sit next to her, and then she paused. The next conversation that we see is between her and Monte outside. And Taylor said, if you're locked in with me like you claim to be, I just don't know why you're making it harder for me to get to the final 2 by not taking Brittany. And Monte said, you don't think you can beat Turner? And she says, not as easily. I just think Brittany is more mental than Turner is, Monte said. Now, Taylor's not stupid. She knows he's covering his own ass, and that no matter how much he tries to convince her that Brittany is stronger than Turner, it's all about him getting to the final two with either one of them. She knows that. She's not stupid. And then Monte said something when they were having this conversation that threw me. He said that they knew about the comp on day 1 ahead of time before they went to play it. He said, so I was able to sit and think about what strategy that I would use. And I'm like, wait a minute. They let them know what comp they're going to do before they go in the house? I always just thought that when they walked out into the backyard and saw the comp, that was the first time that they had any clue about what was going on in the comp. But I guess not. I guess the first one of the season, they tell them beforehand what they're going to be playing. I just thought that was a weird little tidbit that I didn't know. Monte thinks that the days of the comps and when they happen is his weakness. Talking about Turner. He said Turner doesn't remember all of that. And Taylor's like, are you kidding? This guy's got a memory like crazy. And you think he's not going to remember that? And I really think that Turner is just... Well, until I watched tonight's episode, I thought that Turner was just playing that down. But then when I watched the video tonight, I was like, he really doesn't know all of the days. He knows all the HOHs. But he doesn't really know the rest of them. And when you're playing in that last comp, where it's all about the days, you don't have a whole lot of time to sit and count and add up. You got to kind of know that stuff. So maybe he wouldn't be as good in those kind of comps at the end. But I still think that he has a good chance of beating Monte. So Brittany hasn't talked to Monte yet. I don't know why they cut the feeds earlier. I think that her argument's going to make it worse instead of better. Because she's got this strategy with M&Ms that she's laid out in different bags with a graph to show him how Turner's done better than her in every comp and better than him in some comps and this and that. And I think what that does is that just shows Monte that, hey, she is sitting and went through every single comp that we've had this year. So that's just making a stronger argument for Monte that she's smarter when it comes to the mental comps. So I don't know if she'll go through with that. I think she talks to Taylor a little bit on in the evening about that. And the one thing that I've noticed about this particular cast is I think it's a long time since I've seen a cast that does not cook. They don't make dinners. Nicole and Indy were the only ones that actually cooked for the entire house. I think Monte's done it once or twice. But they don't plan out their meals and sit down and have dinner every night. They live off of frozen foods, quick things, chicken wings in the air fryer, quesadillas, anything that's quick. And they all eat at different times. And it's just like, I've just never noticed a season before that was like that. I guess I'm used to seeing seasons where 2 or 3 people will get in there and cook the big meal, and then 2 or 3 people will get in there and clean up afterwards. I don't know if it's because of their age, or what it is about this particular cast, but they don't cook meals. It's like they all live off of fast food. Alright, so Brittany realizes that her way of proving to Monte is that he should take her and not Turner would do just the opposite. Because she's explaining it to Taylor, and Taylor is saying, well, the only thing, his big argument that he says is he keeps saying that he thinks you're stronger than Turner in the mental comps. And Brittany's like, well, I can't really give him the pitch I was going to give him because that's not going to work. And Taylor said, well, what if you go over it with him together and you let him do the thinking? And she said, you don't realize how long it took me to do that. Brittany's not been spending any time with any of them because she's been in that back bedroom working on this whole pitch for 2 days. So it's not something you can just throw together in a few minutes. So now Brittany's trying to figure out what her pitch is going to be that's not going to make her look too smart. Because that's what he's saying, it's mental comps. I don't think whatever she says is going to matter. He's got his mind made up. He knows what he's doing. She's wasting her breath. She can give a pitch and he's still going to go with Turner. She can not give a pitch and he's still going to go with Turner. It's not going to make a difference one way or the other. I really, really do not want to see a final two of Monte and Turner. However, I'm even getting to the point that I can't stand to hear Brittany talk for another minute. She would be one of those friends that I would have to take in small doses. And with there only being 4 people in the house, it's like 90% of the time that's all you're hearing is Brittany. Because the rest of them, they sleep all the time. And really, she's the only one that's got an argument to try to stay this week. Because Turner knows he's a shoo-in. So she's just trying everything she can to stay. And I understand that. But it's getting so annoying. Monte has spent most of the day with Turner. He's hardly spent any time at all with Taylor since the whole headphone incident. And he's outside with Turner again, and he tells Turner how he moved his shower stuff back downstairs after a shower. He said, I don't want to keep leaning on that situation, and that moving his things might make it clear to her. Who the hell is this dude? And I'm like, why don't you just be a man and quit being a boy? Why not just be the man that you claim to be that's so honest and tell her how you really feel instead of telling your boy how you really feel? Makes me sick. And so Turner said, well, where are you going to be sleeping tonight? The HOH room or the car room? And Monte said, oh no, I'm going to be sleeping in the car room. And Turner said, well, that's probably best given the situation. I was like, you two deserve each other. And Taylor's talking to the camera upstairs. She's in her HOH room. And she says, I'm just not buying it. I have to be getting played by them. He's not that stupid. I have to be getting played. And she's trying to figure out all of the votes. I guess Brittany gave her the idea with the M&Ms. So now she's taking the M&Ms in her room and trying to figure out who would vote for who and where everybody would stand. And she's getting pissed the more she does it. And at one point, she's like, I need you to come up to the HOH room. And I'm pretty sure she was talking about Monte. But like I said, he's hanging out with his bro. So, there's that. But she just keeps getting more frustrated as she's counting up the votes and stuff. And then they call her to the DR, which really pisses her off. So last I see, she's going to the DR. Turner and Monte are out in the backyard. And Brittany's in her room playing with some kind of camera that they gave them. So that was about, I don't know, midnight or so. So it's like 10 o'clock their time. So that catches y'all up to now. Let me know in the comments what you think. Is there anything that Taylor could do to get Monte to flip on Turner? I was really, really hoping that Brittany were to overhear the conversation that Turner and Monte were having while Taylor was outside. But I'm guessing that Brittany must have been in the DR or something. She never did come out the whole time they were talking. So that's all I have for you guys today. That's 2 days worth. Depending on if anything happens, I'll be back tomorrow. It may be Tuesday. But I think that we're probably going to see some more conversation between Monte and Taylor now that she's getting amped up. I don't know what good it would do because it's still his final choice. It doesn't matter what she says. It doesn't matter what Brittany says. It's his choice at the end of the day. So I'll see you guys in a couple of days. Have a great day and night. And as always, much love.